A fuel rail pressure sensor, which is distinct from a fuel tank pressure sensor, monitors the flow of fuel to the injectors in diesel and some gasoline vehicles. Without warning lights, performance deteriorates when this part fails. However, how will you know if the sensor fails and what will happen? To learn the symptoms of a malfunctioning fuel rail pressure sensor, what causes it to fail, and how much replacement will cost, keep watching. And just before we start, please make sure you've subscribed to the channel. Difficulty starting engine. The ECU will not supply the engine with the proper amount of fuel if your fuel rail pressure sensor is malfunctioning. Your car will be hard to start as a result. It will likely take a few attempts to crank the engine before it starts when this issue first arises. However, it will require more and more attempts to get started as the issue worsens. It frequently starts and then abruptly stops, stalling. As the fuel rail pressure sensor deteriorates further, engine stalling may happen. Your engine will abruptly stall while you are driving. Additionally, it might stall when idle. Driving will become very challenging and risky as a result, and this should spur you to take action. If your sensor turns out to be the problem, take your car to the closest auto repair shop and have it replaced immediately. Bad fuel mileage. When your fuel pressure sensor isn't functioning properly, you'll notice a significant drop in mileage and fuel efficiency. Either too much or not enough fuel will be sent into the combustion chamber via the fuel rail by your engine control unit. You'll soon notice that you're spending more money and making more trips to the gas station. Larger cars will typically experience the biggest drop in fuel efficiency. For example, a Duramax engine's fuel efficiency will be more significantly impacted than that of a Honda Civic. Weak acceleration. A malfunctioning fuel pressure sensor may be the cause of your car's failure to accelerate when you press the gas pedal. Because it receives erroneous data from the sensor, the engine control unit is unable to send the signal to the fuel system correctly. This implies that it will be unable to adapt to the engine's increased fuel requirements. Check engine light. Your dashboard's check engine warning light may turn on when your fuel rail pressure sensor malfunctions. This light turns on whenever the engine control unit notices a problem with the car that has an impact on the engine. This does not necessarily indicate that the engine is defective. Rather, it may indicate that another component of the car is preventing the engine from performing its function as intended. At first, you probably won't recognize it as the fuel rail pressure sensor, but a diagnostic scan tool can frequently confirm the problem. P0190, 91, 92, 93, and P0194 are the most common DTC codes indicating an issue with the fuel rail sensor. What causes the sensor to fail? These are two of the most frequent reasons why fuel rail pressure sensors malfunction. Exposure to pollutants. Constant exposure to contaminants and impurities in the fuel can clog and even damage your car's fuel pressure sensor. These contaminants have the potential to accumulate in the sensor over time, impairing its functionality and leading to malfunctions. And to keep your engine running smoothly and extend the life of your fuel rail pressure sensor and any other kind of sensor, it is a good idea to use premium fuel from reputable gas stations. Wear and tear. Fuel pressure sensors are susceptible to deterioration over time, just like any other mechanical component. Since the sensor is a component of the pressurized fuel system, it may not be able to adjust the fuel pressure as intended as it ages, which could result in sensor failure and problems with engine performance. Fuel sensor replacement cost. Depending on your car's make and model, replacing a fuel rail pressure sensor can cost a lot of money. The average cost to replace a fuel rail pressure sensor is between $200 and $340. The cost of replacing the sensor will range from $140 to $240 for labor and between $60 and $100 for parts alone. Naturally, hiring a dealership to do the work will typically cost more than hiring a freelance mechanic. In most situations, you should not try to replace it yourself unless you have a lot of experience with auto repair. If you found this information helpful, subscribe for more car maintenance tips and feel free to leave any questions in the comments.